Hello, hello, my little SSSDLers. We are here for the makeup recap. This is going to be for weeks 5, 6, and 7, so this one might be a bit long, but I'm going to try and get through it and give everything the attention it needs. We're going to quickly run through week 5, and then the week 5 awards, the week 6 awards, and so on and so forth, and then a little bit of recap of the league as we go into the final week of the regular season. And hopefully everything's looking good, and everything's been really fun so far, so I'm excited to see how everything turns out, and I'm really excited for the playoffs. So let's start with the week 5 recap. This was a little bit ago, so my bad on that. And you know, I took notes on all of these games, so hopefully these are solid to suffice. But starting off, we've got me versus Ystream as the first game on the schedule here. This one will be easy for me to recap. I had Flying Gem, Acrobatics, Meow, which went pretty good versus his team. Flying Stab was like pretty crazy. It killed Tauros turn 1, and it ended up getting 3 kills throughout the entire game. Although, he did have a Terra Normal Silk Scarf Double-Edged Cyclizar, which was actually pretty tough for my team to deal with. But ultimately, Bronzong came with a mixed defensive set, mostly Fizdef, but it also had AV. And it kind of just took on the rest of his team after I whittled some stuff down with Meowscarada and Meloetta, and yeah, Bronzong kind of cleaned up this one and was very, very good. Our next game is going to be John versus Power Fibble. John was definitely making a lot of questionable plays early in this game. Like, I think he sacked Rotom Heat early. He brought in Primarina just to switch it out the next turn, and he took 70%. He took 90% on his Mega Gallade just to get a Will-O-Wisp on Ting Lu. But things changed for the better when he had his Sharpedo use Terrastellar Natural Gift Fire to catch a Mega Scizor and knock it out. And from there, Darkrai plus Sharpedo had a really good matchup into the rest of his team, and you know, he just got a lot of momentum from there. And you know, I think Power Fibble kind of wasted his Tapu Fini this game, and it just continued to give John momentum. And then Darkrai lived a Boom Burst, Terra Normal Boom Burst from Exploud on 2 HP and kind of went crazy from there. It got a big flinch on Electros. I don't think it would have ultimately mattered, but it definitely did give Darkrai some more kills and John a little bit more differential maybe. But yeah, next game we've got is Squidward's Wacka. This was a fantastic game. This is Squidward's first game playing since taking over the team. Had to go up against the #1 team and came out with the win, so congrats to Squidward for that. Very, very impressive. Of course, there was some interesting stuff in this one. I think, namely, Wacko would tell you all about this Raichu T-Bolt that paralyzes Infernape on a hard switch-in, punished him extremely hard, meant that Raichu continued to just kind of go crazy from there. Golisopod came to this game, which is sick, by the way. But Florges actually had some juice to win, and while watching this game, I thought Florges could still kind of win this game. But ultimately, I think there was a Toxic that hit it, and then a very well-timed Nasty Plot on the Raichu, and it was just able to break the rest of Wacka's defensive core, and yeah, Lopunny and Raichu cleaned up the end of the game. Raichu got 4 KOs, so it was pretty cool stuff. Our next game is Dunkesino McGriddleso. This was a pretty solid game, from what I remember as well. McGriddleso was playing this game kind of patient, kind of passive. Lots of Stealth Rocks, Toxic, and pivoting just gave him a lot of momentum. He basically had the correct Mon out a lot of time. Dunkesino missed a couple predictions. I remember an Earthquake and a Tornadus. And he did have Side Shell Arm Slowbro, which is pretty fun. But Stack Attacka was going pretty crazy this game. It got 3 KOs. It was Terra Steel, Gyro Ball versus Terra Fairy Glowbro, and you know, it was doing its thing. It's definitely a Terror Cap of the Week contender for this week, along with Bronzong was definitely in consideration as well. And then our next game, Phoenix versus Ryan, was a little bit closer than I feel like it might have been. First thing though, Phoenix has some really cool prep. He had mixed Entei. He used Sacred Fire into Donphan, and then he had Eruption, which KO'd it, which was very cool. But Ryan had automatized Meteor Beam Necrozma, which went pretty hard. It kind of 1v1'd with Mega Audino for a while. Mega Audino paralyzed it, but it couldn't heal up versus it. He even raw Meteor Beamed on it, which was pretty crazy, while paralyzed, and he got it off. which is cool. And then Clodsire had some fight in it at the end, some dog and Clodsire to try and win that one. But ultimately, CM Sinistra kind of cleaned up versus that and Valiant, from what I remember. And then next we've got Sam versus Chickadee. This was an anticipated match for me. I had a lot of fun watching it. Early, Sam did have Sunny Day Weather Ball Mega Venusaur. Of course, Fire Move to be able to help it hit Scizor as well as Roselia. It ended up being important for in this match. But this was a bit of a slow game until Sam caught Scizor with a Mystical Fire off of a U-turn from Mystical Fire from Alcremie on the U-turn on top of Coco. He went Scizor, and then Scizor was knocked out. And then it went back to a bit of a slow game with a lot of Rapid Spin, Leech Seed, Synthesis, BS for like 25 turns. Mienshao almost got a kill. And Bundle really almost had what it took to win this game, but he needed some chip on Jolteon and he just couldn't get it. And because of that, Jolteon was the one cleaning up this game with the final KOs. So, yep, good job, Sam. That was a big win for him. And then lastly, we got Wisdom versus Abasha, which was actually, I believe, the first game played this week. But Snorlax snored this game. Snorlax snored for sure. Snorlax got in and it started setting up curses, and I think Wisdom tried Calm Minding or Sphearing it, but Snorlax just has too good a Spidef. He wasn't really breaking it. Yeah, he tried to set up Lottie in a spot where he really couldn't, and Snorlax eventually went down, but it was kind of Jover at that point. Ogerpon cleaned up the last 3 kills with Swords Dance Horn Leech. But overall, another nice win for Abasha, as his season has been fantastic so far. And then here we are to look at the Week 5 awards, and let's just get started. The low tier of the week is going to be Squidward's Raichu. After 4 kills this week here in Week 5, and a big upset win, you got to give it to Raichu, got to show some love to the Raichu. But yeah, and then next we've got Stacka Tekka is our Terra Cap of the week for McGriddleso. 3 KOs this week, up to 7 kills on the season. By the way, these stats are cumulative through Week 7. I didn't go back and do the math for where it would have been Week 5. I think that's fine because it kind of keeps you up where the current place of the league is. Stacka Tekka's got 7 and 6, pretty good stuff. But it was great this game. Terra Steel Gyro Ball was fantastic. Our next award is Heat of the Week, and it's going to go to John's Sharpedo with Natural Gift Fire. Although, like, I think that makes sense versus Mega Scizor, so I don't know how heat it is. It still takes balls to run Natural Gift because, I don't know, I think it takes balls. You're using your item, and I think it's still cool, and that was its only kill it got, but it kind of gave John the momentum to really come back and win this game, so got to give it to Sharpedo. Also, cool stat line of 555. Shout out John. And then the Pokemon of the week is going to be, I had to give it to Raichu. I don't love doubling up on awards, but like, Raichu popped off low tier in its first game. It popped off and it beat the undefeated team. Like, what more can you say? Like, shout out to Raichu, shout out to Squidward. And on top of that, the game of the week is going to be Squidward versus Waka. Like I said, big playoff implications in terms of, like, got Squidward right back in this after picking up a 1-3 team, taking down the best team, and it was a pretty close game ultimately. You know, that's my game of the week pick. I think it was pretty cool. Now we move on to our Week 6 recap, where we're going to start with the game recap. So first we got me versus John. I led Meloetta and it just kind of went crazy versus like 5 things. I just got off of like a lot of chip early and like that's exactly what I needed. And then I got like Lando in turn 6 and I was like, dang, it looks pretty good. If I Rock Polish Gravity here, and you know, I was like, it's a little early to go for my win con, but I got off enough chip early and I went for that. I like got lucky on them too. Like John went for Pain Split on me and we it was negligible. He was trying to like go down to 5 in Pain Split, but because I Rock Polished or Gravity, whatever I did that turn, didn't do anything, so I got off like free Gravity and Rock Polish. I think I actually had a chance to 6-0, but I kind of switched out fearing like an Aqua Jet from Sharpedo. And then, you know, the game state went on. Ultimately, I had such a big lead, it was hard for me to lose, but it did get kind of close to losing like 3 or 4 Pokemon towards the end. But yeah, I cleaned up there. So a big 5-0 win for me. Next, I've got Dunk versus Phoenix. This is actually a good game, and I think I can't find the replay. Either I'm stupid and I can't find it, or it's been lost to time. But this was a really good game. Dunk Slowbro looked really strong the whole game, and it actually almost had the juice to win at the end. But the highlight of the game is Phoenix's Mr. Rhyme Terra Ice Weakness Policy. He set up like barrier, so he was bulky, and then yeah, it was just pretty strong stuff. And you know, You gotta give creds to Phoenix for pulling out a wacky weakness policy Mon for the second time in SSSDL. So very fun from him. I respect that a lot. And Mr. Rhyme had a great week because of it. Now we've got Sam versus, what do we got? Sam versus Wisdom? Yeah. Sam versus Wisdom. I believe Sam had sub Archaludon, which early was causing some issues, and it got to like chip Porygon 2, and then it just felt like Chien-Pao didn't really have switch-ins. I feel like Wisdom didn't bring the prep to deal with Chien-Pao defensively. He had some things that could kind of revenge it, but he didn't have anything that could really safely switch in on it, and then he had a weird play with the Mega Sharpedo where he protected the same turn he Mega'd, and then he lost the ability to be able to speed boost and eventually, do serious damage to Sam's team, and overall it just felt like an uphill battle, and so Sam comes with a big win. And then we've got Bastia versus McGriddleso. This was a pretty good game as well. I remember this game being pretty close. First note I have is Rock Blast Stakataka, which is pretty cool. But Staka got chipped at one point, and there was just little he could do to stop Ogerpon C at that point. It still dragged on for a little, but I believe Subtoxic Melmetal was big in the end game. But this game did come down to like a 33% total between Abastia's last two living Mons. Like I think he had Melmetal on 11 and Ogerpon on like 22. But that's really what it came down to. So it was a really close game. It was pretty good. And then I've got Ryan vs. Chick. This replay was definitely lost to time. I mean, I think it's in some weird file format. But yeah, this game was pretty solid. The number one record versus the worst record. And Chickadee came out with a win. I believe he's playing from school too on mobile. But I don't think Ryan just had the things to stop the high power Chick had. So Chick does pick up his first win against an undefeated team. He gets his first win, so happy for him. And then we got Ystream versus Wacka. He had AV Thundy, which was quite good this game, and Quillfish was just going nuts defensively, and Florgus as well. But Wacka did have Natural Gift in Fernape to hit Gliscor, which is cool, but I don't think it mattered too much based on the range. And I mean, Florgus got paralyzed at one point, but it really didn't matter. Florgus was just going stupid, and it cleaned up at the end of the game. And then Squid versus Power Fable was a bit of a silly one. There was some stuff with Mandibuzz early in the game, but then Registeel came in and Squid went hard Registeel, Registeel came in and then Power Fable went hard Ting Lu on an Iron Defense, and then I don't think he had Earthquake, and Body Press was just doing such a negligible amount to +4 Registeel, and then it got to +6, and then there was just no way to kill it, and it just Body Pressed its way to a win. So that was a big win for Squid. Definitely puts her back in playoff contention and hurts Power Fable's chances a lot. -6 differential is pretty tough. This now leads us to our Week 6 award. Bang, bang, bang. Our first award is going to be the low tier of the week. It's got to be Mr. Rhyme for Phoenix. 4 KOs in its third game this season. It's come quite a bit, but yeah, I mean, it's one of the lowest tiers drafted in the whole league, and at 4 KOs, which is pretty big. It will be appearing here again, probably. Our next is going to be the Terra Cap of the week. I gave it to Jolteon. It could have been Mr. Rhyme again, but I didn't want to double up too much. Jolteon did pick up 3 KOs and a win over Wisdom, and a very impactful win as well. So, got to give it to Jolteon, spread some love. But we are going right back to the well. Heat of the week's got to be Weakness Policy, Mr. Rhyme with Barrier. Just very cool stuff, and yeah, not much to say about Mr. Rhyme, but very cool. It's going to pick up 2 awards here in Week 6. And then the Pokemon of the week, it's got to be Registeel, picking up the 6-0. I believe the first 6-0 for a single Mon this season. I could be wrong. But yeah, big stuff for Registeel there in its first game played after being a free agent transaction when Squid picked up the team. So very cool stuff. Shout out to Registeel. Welcome to the awards. And the game of the week, I gave it to Dunk Casino versus Phoenix just because I thought the weakness policies, I think it might not have been the closest game, but I thought it was just really fun to watch. And even as Mr. Rhyme got set up and it looked like it was kind of over, Slowbro really had a chance to fight back in the end. Slowbro Terra is really strong. Glowbro, mind you, really strong, and I actually think it almost had the juice to win, but there was a couple of things that needed to go his way that didn't, and Phoenix came away with the win, but it was a very, very fun game to watch. And now for week 7, we can get into the last games. We're getting up to date, baby. First, we got Chick versus Y-Stream. First note, Chick brought Ice Beam Tauros to help with Gliscor. I don't think he was invested because he did not OHKO Gliscor. I do think it was a roll, though, but he did not hit the roll, which allowed Gliscor to get up Stealth Rocks, which was pretty big in this game. Yeah, he should have just been fully invested, if you ask me. Lando and Gliscor both went down early, which I think was impactful for both sides. But it did mean for Y-Stream he had to burn Terra Shell on Trap Ghost really early, but the thing is it got like 2 KOs by just clicking Star Storm on Frailmons. And then Muck just kind of came in every time on Hydreigon and clicked the right moves, and between Muck, Goldengo, and Tapu Lele, Y-Stream cleaned up the win there. Next we have John versus Abastia. This was the first game played, and this was actually a big big win for John. Unfortunately, I think Abastia forgot to put static on Zapdos, so it was pressure, which allowed John to just kind of freely click close combat with Gallade, which was pretty strong, because his resists aren't either Iron Bulky or don't take psychic moves. And then he also didn't have very good Sharpedo answers. Sharpedo was just kind of going crazy, and I actually thought he was going to sweep, but then it turns out, after getting 2 kills, John's best move to hit Zapdos, because he did not bring Water Stab, was Terra Fighting close combat. Yeah, he just really had Earthquake to hit everything else. So it did go down. And then there was a moment where a Horn Leech on Ogerpon, he Horn Leeched Mega Gallade, but only put him up to exactly 99%, meaning he doesn't have Sturdy, which allowed Mega Gallade to one-hit KO with Close Combat. So that was pretty impactful, I think. Definitely changed, the game would have changed from there. And then, yeah, John did do a flex at the end where he had D-Ball Mega Gallade go down to take down the last Mon, but of course it didn't matter. Then we got Wisdom versus McGriddleso. The first thing here is that Torn knocked Power Fable was Meteor Beam Power Herb and knocked it on the turn of Meteor Beam, so it lost its Power Herb. And then, yeah, he had to raw Meteor Beam, which allowed him to go into Great Tusk for free. And then McGriddleso got a little lucky. He got a Flamethrower crit burn and then a Heat Wave burn like 2 turns later, which, helped him. And then, and then he had a smart plays with Diancie where he didn't Mega Evolve it, so much so that I forgot to enter as Mega Diancie for about 2 weeks until I just noticed today while reviewing this that it was Mega Diancie. But yeah, he 6-0'd this game. It was pretty raps. Great Tusk picked up 5 KOs. It just kind of came in every time everything was chipped and revenged things or did what it needed to do, take hits, and deal out pain. Power Fable versus Phoenix, this was an 0-1 game, but I think this was a little bit larger of a discrepancy than this one shows. Phoenix had Whirlpool Suicune off rip into Ting Lu. Whirlpool trapped it and eventually beat it in the 1v1, which I think was pretty big. He also had Trailblaze Entei, which I think was pretty fun, versus Clear Smog Gengar. Just some wacky stuff going on. I think this is the second game Phoenix has brought Suicune, Entei, and Raikou all to the same game, which is very fun. But, his team was both teams were starting to get chipped down. X-Cloud Terra Normal got 2 KOs with Boom Burst. But then I was looking at the matchup, and there was a Mega Audino versus 2 Special Mons. It got off some Calm Minds, and it was just kind of over from there. It dragged on for quite a bit because of a Tri-Attack Freeze, but Mega Audino had it raps all along, basically. Then we got Ryan versus me, which was the last game played. The main thing here is I led Meloetta into Urshifu Dark and allowed it to get 2 free Sword Stances, and it was Focus Sash, so even when I put it down to Sash with Moonblast, it killed my Diancie, and then I thought I was faster, so I went Landorus, and I was faster, but it gets Sucker Punch, which I just kind of blanked on. So I lost Lando, who was actually probably my best matchup into the whole game. And then I also then had to take 70% on my Bronzong to a close combat, even though I was Terra Fairy. I mean, from that point, I had already lost. I did claw back, and I clawed some differential. I ended up getting only a 2-0 loss, which is nice for me. But really, I had no chance. And I also had a moment where I tried running Snatch on Meloetta. And you've never even heard of Snatch, but I tried running it, and it failed miserably and blew up in my face. So that is your message, your memo to never run Snatch on a Pokemon ever. It didn't really matter for me that it failed, but I tried snatching a Toxic, and it did not work, and I got Toxicked. It's pretty sad. And then we got Waka versus Samkey. This was an important game. Whoever won this one got very big playoff implications. Waka, like turn 2 or 3, made a prediction where he clicked Focus Blast on a switch into Archaludon, which O-code it after hitting it. Waka definitely got a little lucky this game. He hit 3 Focus Blasts. And Sam was making some aggressive doubles to get back in this game where, he kind of brought in Chi and Pow aggressively, but then, he had a moment where he Volt Switched into Thundy and gave it its HP back, and then it was kind of troublesome from there. This game was just kind of a lot of Thundy not being able to do anything to... No, Thundy was doing stuff. Thundy not being able to do much to Chi and Pow. When Chi and Pow came in, he was trying to revenge, but then he went Aggron, and then Aggron couldn't do anything to Venusaur, and then Venusaur couldn't really do anything to Aggron either because it had Metal Burst. Waka did have Flying Gem, Acrobatics, and Fernape, which is cool to note. But overall, Waka then also got a crit towards the end with a Psychic onto Venusaur, which put it extremely low. I don't remember how much it mattered, but it looked pretty impactful to me. But yeah, it was kind of over from there. I think Sam tried real hard, but sometimes he get a little unlucky, and I think Waka still played good enough to win this one. So very deservingly. He did flex his weakness policy Florges at the end. Maybe a little unneeded. No, I'm playing. And then last game, Squidbird versus Dunkasino. This was a pretty silly, fun one if you ask me. Off rip, Dunkasino led Hawlucha and clicked a Mirror Herb Swagger. He clicked Swagger into Mirror Herb. He got the boost, confused the Glamora. While this is cool, I A, have heard of it before, and B, think it maybe should be banned. I don't know. Maybe I'll pull on it later, see what you guys think, but it's a pretty strong strategy. It allows you to get a +2 for free, and then because of Unburden, he's also +2 speed, and, just kind of dangerous stuff. And then Hawlucha's just a strong Pokemon, right? Squidbird did, of course, have Unaware Quagsire, but not before losing 2 Pokemon to it, and Quagsire got chipped. Dunkasino then brought in Simipour and did the exact same thing, Mirror Herb Swagger again, which I've got respect for that one. That's where it gets real cool, when you're running Mirror Herb Swagger. Simipour, it doesn't have Acrobatics, but it was still cool. And it took down Quagsire? No, it died to Quagsire. It didn't do anything. Then, Ogerpon, yes, that's its name. Ogerpon came in and it actually got up 2 Swords Dances, and it looked like it had a chance to bring it back. But it did not have Trailblaze, which meant it lost to Shaman Sky basically every time. And Shaman Sky cleaned up after Lucha and Simipour went down. But it was a pretty cool game. I liked it. Shout out Dunk, picking up a 2nd win on the season, and pretty good for my playoff implications, so thank you. And now let's rattle off some weekly awards for Week 7, starting with our low tier of the week. Kind of a tough pick this time. Ended up deciding I think it should be Exploud. It did get 2 KOs in what was ultimately a close game. And Terra Normal Boomburst, very strong, very cool. Didn't win, but 2 KOs. Really, when looking at the other low tiers, there wasn't a lot of other options. So we go here with Exploud. Shout out to Power Fable for that one. He's been using this Exploud a lot, and I think it's really cool. I like seeing low tiers being used always. Next, we got the Terra Cap of the week. Also, this one's a little hard to decide because the Terra aspect of Sharpedo didn't really do anything. But, it is a Terra Cap, and there weren't really any other Terra Caps that did anything at all. So, Sharpedo it is. John picks up back-to-back weeks with awards with Sharpedo, I believe. Not back-to-back. He had one in week 5. Go John. And then we got Heat of the Week. There wasn't a ton to pick from of Heat that actually did good. I will give it to this Lucha for running the Mirror Herb, because I think it was just an impactful game that it got it off in, and it still did go crazy. It got its first 3 KOs of the season, and it let Dunkasino get a big upset win. But Mirror Herb Swagger may be banned in the future. We'll see. But yeah, cool stuff for Lucha there. Pokemon of the week is going to be Great Tusk. Picked up 5 KOs, although it wasn't necessarily the shining star of all time. 5 KOs is hard to argue against. puts it, and I think Great Tusk deserves some flowers because it's going to be up here when it comes time for, awards here at the end of the season, which we'll get into talking about in a little bit. But Great Tusk is definitely in that conversation. A big 5 KOs here in week 7 puts into all sorts of conversations and helping with what was a 6-0 win. So I think that's pretty big. And the game of the week is going to be John versus Abashta. I think I just had the most fun watching this one with, even though Sharpedo almost could have won, and then, I don't know, it was just a fun game. So John with the upset win over Abashta will be the Game 7 game of the week. Okay, now we will take a quick look at the power rankings. I am just doing week 6 power rankings. I just wanted to stay consistent with what I've been doing. So they are a little outdated at this point because week 7 has been played and some of week 8 has even started. My bad. I didn't do a great job with any of this. That's my fault. But we're just going to keep chugging on. I'd rather get this out than nothing at all. So these were week 4, of course, and now we will look at week 6. Not a ton of movement at the top. Wacka and Ryan stay at 1 and 2. Abashta makes a small jump up to 3. Samkey jumps up 4 spots to 4. Squidbird with 2 wins in week 5 and 6 jumps up 8 spots to where the team was, early in the season. But since the coaching change, Squidbird has done great and jumps up here. Of course, they did have a week 7 loss, which is going to put them down a bit. But, as far as week 6 is concerned, shout out to Squidbird, top 5 team. I jump up with 2 wins in a row as well, up to number 6. I put Squidbird above me. Don't really remember why at this point, but there was definitely a reason, even though we're tied. And then I got McGriddleso right below me, which was kind of hard to decide because he did beat me, so actually maybe he should have been above me. But McGriddleso, top half team, does fall a couple spots. He did just kind of lose a couple games, but he did come out with a big 6-0 in week 7, so he will probably jump up a couple spots when week 8 comes around. Also, let me know what you want me to do for week 8 power rankings and MVP. I think I'm going to hide the MVP tracker. Maybe I'll do week 8 power rankings as a part of the whole award show, just kind of as we go into playoffs. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Just kind of spitballing. At 8, we've got Ystream. He does take down 2 losses. He was one of the top tier teams in week 4, but taking 2 losses in a row will bump you down quite a few spots. Phoenix falls a bit. John goes up a couple bits with a win. Wisdom rattles off 2 losses, which will have him fall a bit. Power Fable, 2 losses, will have him fall down a bit. Chickadee gets a win in there, gets a big win over Ryan, and that will allow him to jump up 1 spot into our 13th slot. And I do have Dunkasino falling, but mind you, Dunkasino did get a week 7 win over Squidbird, so Dunk will be back up a little bit and had playoff hopes. And then this was our week 4 MVP tracker with Sinistra, Thunder T, Chi, and Pow in that order. And our week 6 MVP tracker is looking like Sinistra at the top, right behind Chi and Pow. And then shout out to Abashta's Ogerpon C. It has been going crazy for the last couple weeks, and it is here in our 3rd spot. I did want to consider Wacka's Florgus as an honorable mention as well. It's been doing great, but it does not make the top 3. This is our top 3 right now, and we got 2 more weeks for these guys to sort it out. And also, new people can always show up in these MVP conversations. Just gotta have a couple big games. So this is the state of our league right now. A couple week 8 games have already been played. I am just spitballing this live. We'll just kind of recap some of the league. Wacka finishes the season 7-1 plus 21, which I think is exactly the same as Steven was last season. Fantastic season for Wacka, and he's definitely one of our top playoff contenders. Ryan's doing good right behind him. And yeah, as these playoff matchups kind of start to shake out, I think one of the most important week 8 games is going to be Ystream versus Squidbird. They're the 2 closest teams in differential. Basically, whoever wins that game has a much better chance at playoffs. Squidbird isn't guaranteed if she wins, I don't believe. But she does have a much better chance if she wins. For me, I'm right there at the 8 spot right now. If I win, I'm pretty sure I'm in. I do play Chickadee, which I think is going to be a little bit of a tough game for me. I've been looking at the prep. I don't know how I feel about it. If I lose, I still have a chance to win, but I would need Squidbird to lose. And I needed John to lose as well, which he managed to pull off. Thank you, John. And then Dunkasino is the only person with his season over. His game just finished. He got pretty unlucky in that one. But I think 2-6 minus 12 really isn't that bad when you consider Wisdom and Power Fibble are above him in standings with a game to be played, and they have lower differential. So, Dunk, you did good this season, my brother. And then we will look at the pick'ems really quick. The race has gotten interesting. Definitely some people have forgotten their pick'ems a little more lately. Phoenix tapped out. Ryan missed 1 week, and it's felt like he's been tapped out. But John and Dunkasino makes a big comeback with getting 2 5s in a row for weeks 6 and 7, and they're tied at 30. I love seeing this race. I'm quietly there at third. Hey, you never know. Although I did kind of choke this last week by only getting 3 right. Wisdom also kind of choked last week, only getting 2 right. And Sam got a big 5 last week, giving him a chance to come back. We'll see. And so yeah, that's going to conclude our weeks 5, 6, and 7 here in Supreme 7-Star Season 2. Thank you guys for playing all of your games. I don't think we've had a single forfeit loss so far. Trying not to jinx it. Knock on wood. Hopefully we'll be good for the final week, but you guys have been great. Thanks for keeping up. Let me know if you have any comments, ideas, things for Season 3. I'm going to start getting cooking on that. But yeah, have a great final week, and then show me I'm excited for playoffs. I love playoffs. That's where stuff gets important, and I can't wait to see who wins it all.